Hey everyone, it's that time where we do a video and talk about that taboo topic of price, because everybody wants to always know what did you pay for your game, and sometimes it's a little taboo to ask. Some of us have more money than others. Some of us are able to buy games that are ready to go. Some of us are able to buy games that have been restored. Some of us buy projects. Some of us buy an empty shell and piece it all together. Well, I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about what I paid for every game. I don't want it to be a secret, but I also want to know that this is obtainable. As far as what I do for a living, you know, I'm a teacher. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not making big bucks. I will say that I haven't been able to do this without the loving support of my dear wife, because she puts up with it. But let's go through it. I'm going to start with the very first arcade game that I ever purchased, honestly, about 20 years ago. And I was probably like 15, 16, I don't know. Did I have a car? Maybe it was even more than 20 years ago. But it was this Tutankhamun cabinet. And this Tutankhamun cabinet was not Tutankhamun. It was a game called Invaders by Capcom. It was not like the Marvel DC series. It wasn't a comic book thing. It was just called Invaders. It was a vertical scrolling beat 'em up, but it is now back to its former glory of a Tutankhamun. And for this game that I paid for working, that I have since restored, I paid $50 for at a church silent auction, and I was the only bidder. And they saw me as a kid, and they're like, "You must bid at least $50. It's a game." And I was like, "Oh no, that's a lot of money." And I had to have the person who had the game, who donated the game, bring it to my house for me, and actually load it into the house, at my mother's house. So that was the very first game. Now, to turn it into a Tutankhamun, I spent more than obviously $50, but I had a lot of things. I had to go through and I had to purchase the control panel overlay, I had to purchase the board, I had to purchase the Tutankhamun marquee, and you know, that in that range we're probably looking at a few $100, maybe let's call it $300. Then I had to buy side art, and I actually bought side art twice because this old game then released new side art, so that was like another $200. So probably all in all in this game I probably have about, I don't know, $550 to $600 worth into this game. Now, this is not all at one spot. It's like over time, because that's how I do things. The next game that we acquired was a Space Invaders cocktail table, and at the time, after talking to people, they told me the price was high. But I thought it was a fair price. I paid $300 for the Space Invaders cocktail table. It's working. It had a couple glitches with the monitor shortly after getting it, but it was cold solder joints, and you know, knock on some wood down here, it's still going pretty good. I did have to glue a couple things on it, but this thing was working, ready to go, and didn't have to do anything to it. It is now our like coffee table in front of the TV and the retro games. Let's see. Next up, I'm gonna kind of go in order here of some of the games I purchased. Next up, as I was getting into this hobby, I said to my wife, "What game would you really like?" She's like, "Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man?" So here we go. I picked up this Miss Pac-Man, sorry, for $50 on a Craigslist ad. And granted, I know, like, I'm going back in time at least 6 years, but it did not work. It was dead, and you know, the side art's in decent shape. It's faded. It's got wear marks on it. Maybe I should just turn on the lights down here for this. There we go. There's some lights, so we can actually see everything now. You know, it's faded. It's not as vibrant as it once was. In fact, the pink in the marquee is all but gone. I've put in the 4-in-1 kit. Actually, I didn't do it. You remember this guy, Ian Kellogg? He did it. Ian Kellogg had a board, and he was coming up to visit our friend John of John's Arcade, and he had a cabinet for him. And if I recall correctly, the cabinet he was bringing up was a cabinet that had, like, I don't know, Bad Dudes or something. It had been converted, but it was a quantum cabinet. And John ended up restoring it back to that. I believe that was the cabinet. But I had broke something on my board, doing something. I broke a pin on like the VRAM addresser or something, and he said, I got a board and it's got the 4-in-1. We'll swap boards and I'll just give you this one, but it's one of the first mods he had done. So here it is. He's got the 4-in-1, or I have the 4-in-1 now, and we swapped boards. And I did have to put a control panel overlay on it, and so that was $25. So I'm into $50, $75. $75 I think I've got into this game. Well, maybe it's done a cap kit, so let's call it 85. But yeah, there we go. But not working when I got it. So overall total price invested in this Ms. Pac-Man is $85. After that, I got the Donkey Kong cocktail table that I did the resto mod. I'm going to turn on another light because why not? I got the Donkey Kong cocktail table that I did the resto mod. I paid $50 for it and then promptly spent way too much money turning it into this. I do love this. I mean, I spent probably like a couple $100 trying to get a monitor that worked. I probably spent another $100 to $150 on paint. So let's call that now $350 plus the $50 for the game. That's $400. And then I bought this fancy art that had been done by another guy on Clav, and I don't think he's doing it anymore. I talked about it when I did the whole resto mod, but he did the art and I bought it. So let's call that another $100. I don't know. What are we at? Like $550, $600 plus. Oh, but then I bought like new joystick stuff here. So I don't know. Let's call it somewhere between $600 and $700, which is probably way more than this thing is worth. But it took me probably 2 years to actually piece it all together. Okay. And then things started to ramp up after this initial purchase. We're just gonna have a sip here real quick, and we'll look at our snacks. We've got some Hanover Snyder's of Hanover. The pretzel pieces, the honey mustard and onion are really good, and then I've got some honey roasted peanuts here from Teddy. Those are my snacks while I watch the TVs and play games. Anyway, so after that, I'm gonna kind of jump around here. I picked up some cabinets, dirt cheap, $25 a cabinet, and let's kind of go and touch upon those real quick. First up is this Sega Outrun cabinet. Yeah, this cost me $25. However, it wasn't like $25 said and done. It is super clean, minus this little tiny crack here. But I did do the gears on it that I had 3D printed, but they actually weren't horrible, so I didn't really need to do them. I was just like, I'm going to do them because I had that ability to get them printed. But I swapped the monitor out. I actually ended up buying like 2 more Sega Outrun cabinets, cheap, under $200. I had to get a board. So let's see. So if I just talk about this game, $25 for the game plus probably about $150 for the board. Well, we're still under $200, so probably $175 all said and done. But remember, it didn't work, and the monitor, I don't think worked. I think I pulled it out of something else. I can't remember now. Maybe somebody else remembers. All right, so there was that game, and I had a bunch of other games like Super Basketball that I paid $25 for. That is actually working and is in the shed. That works. $25. I didn't have to do anything to it. Next up is this Marble Madness. Now, I got it as Roadrunner. And as Roadrunner, it worked, but the monitor was dead. It had the Atari Disco monitor in it. I ended up getting another monitor pulled out of some other game, that bulk deal that I bought. I think I came out of that deal with 13 games at $25 a piece. You guys can do the math. So $25 plus a monitor for Roadrunner. Okay, so $25 Roadrunner. I still have that kit. But then I converted it to Marble Madness. And to do Marble Madness, geez, I mean, I know kits now are going for about $1,000, and this is in 2020. Now they're going for about $1,000. When I did this a few years ago, they were probably about maybe $800 to $900 for a kit. I probably spent a total of about $700 to $750 building the kit. Now I had somebody make me the marquee. And it's a little washed out when you compare it to the other marquees, but it's still excellent. I had to buy the control panel overlay. which has marks on it. I think I even had to get cone buttons, which are expensive. Even the trackballs, I think I've got $150 worth of trackballs here. This was not in the cheap kit to do. So the control panel overlay, the control panel I actually had to get. There was a reproduction, that was $100, $120. So $100 plus another $150, that's $250. Call this like, this, I don't know what these are, maybe just under $3. Oh, plus the board, the daughter card was like $300, and I had to fix a couple things on it. I used my friend helped me, and we went through the ROMs, and we actually had to check the ROMs because there's a couple graphic errors. But this kit probably, for me to build it, now that I price it out, I had to buy a harness, so I'm probably just under $700 for the kit to convert my $25 Roadrunner into Marble Madness. So I think we're now at $725 with sweat equity. Let's see. So that's a part of that. Let's take a trip all the way over here. We're kind of bouncing around. Pole position. Not working. Adam was working on his PP clone, his pole position clone, PP clone. his pole position clone at the time. I was like, ooh, I should get one of these just because that would be great to have when he finishes. Of course, you know, 5-6 years later, Adam is still working hard on it, and I appreciate everything he's done on it, and I know he's getting very close. But this was $75 not working, and I was like, well, I'll get it. We actually managed to get the board working for like a couple bucks. It was a couple bad sockets due to battery damage. So let's round this up to $80. I probably did a cap kit on it, so let's call it $90. I'm going to go over here now to this Donkey Kong 3. The Donkey Kong 3 cabinet, well, this Donkey Kong Jr. cabinet, was $25, but it came with Commando, the JAMA board, and I don't even think it had a monitor in it, to be honest. So I had to get a monitor in here. So I had to do the JAMA. I put a JAMA harness in here. I did the JAMA adapter for the Donkey Kong 3 board, so that's probably like $25. So we're now at like probably call it $35-$40 for in harnesses and wiring, plus the 25. So let's see, 40 plus 25, that's 65. And then I probably did a cap kit. So where are we at? 70, 80, and then the rest of this stuff. This is all in trade. So, like, the Donkey Kong 3 kit here was in trade, and I had done some work. I had painted somebody's cabinet, and they offered me parts in trade. So, sweat equity, again, has kind of paid off. Now, I mean, obviously, if you were to do a kit, I mean, I'm going to call this a Donkey Kong 3 for less than $100. But if I were to do this, to build this out on my cost, if I were to buy the Donkey Kong 3 parts, I don't know, what, another few $100 for the whole kit? Call it 3. So I'd still be under it for under 4. At the same time I picked up that Junior cabinet now with the Donkey Kong 3, I picked up the Sega Turbo cockpit. And at the time, when I picked up that same batch of games that were all $25, he goes, I have this other one, but it's a little bit more. And he was kind of hesitant to give me the price. And I was like, oh, I don't know. You know, it's probably going to be a lot. I'm expecting like, you know, $1,000. I was new to the hobby. I had no idea. He goes, all right, you know, $25 for all the other cabinets, but this one, I really love this one. I said, well, how much? He said $100, and I was like, ooh, I don't know. That seems like a lot of money. And then a few months go by, and I would go, you still have that thing? He goes, yeah. And I go, I want it. And I'll take that other cabinet too, the orange one back there. And 6 months go by before I actually picked it up. So $100 for the turbo, and I did a cap kit, and I replaced some light bulbs. So let's call it $115, $120, all said and done. Now, I will tell you that this game does drive me crazy occasionally because I turn it on and it doesn't work, but I have to like let it warm up. And I've replaced the power supply, and now I think what I need to do next is probably replace some of the capacitors on the board and check connectors. And I haven't repinned connectors, but I've adjusted the pins to make them fit better. But yeah, all right, let's jump around again. We're gonna go back over here. So we've done the one on the left and we've done the one on the right. We're gonna do this NBA Jam. And I bought this working from a friend, and it popped up on Craigslist. And so the first thing I did was send a text to my buddy, because I don't have a truck. I said, hey, can we go get this game? There's an NBA Jam for sale. Will you help me? I'm talking to the guy right now. And the guy emails me back. So yeah, still available. And I'm texting my friend, hey, can we go get it? Well, it turns out it was his game. Couldn't believe it. So I needed the truck. He actually helped me deliver it to my house. But I paid, I think, $450 for this. Working. I haven't had to do anything to it. Nothing. I haven't capped it, haven't done anything to it. I thought the power supply, thought a couple things were going at once, but everything seems to be holding true, and, you know, knock on some MDF there. So that was about $450, I believe. All right, now we're just gonna kind of go around the room. Next thing we're gonna take a look at is track and field. This started off as a game that I really, really, really wanted. I think, you know, I'm a little bit younger than some of the collectors out there. I'm in my mid-30s, but I hadn't played this until I started getting into the hobby. And boy, was this game a blast. I love this game. I played it at John's for the first time, started playing it all over the place, got pretty good at it, and I feel like I'm decent at it. I'm no Hector Fly, but I love this game. So I decided I needed to have one. But I couldn't find one, and everybody wanted like $800-900 for it, and I was not willing to pay that price. So I decided I'll restore one. I bought an empty shell for $75, and then I had to get a monitor, and then I had to get a board, and then I had to get a marquee, and I had to get a control panel overlay, and then I had to get a control panel. I had to get a coin door. And let's see, what else did I need to get? Oh, I had to get T-molding and side art, and I had to paint it. All in all, when I totaled up, I had to get buttons. I had to get, what else did I have to get? Not only the buttons, but I had to get the leaf switches. So all in all, this game cost me about $700 to $750 to put together and build. But I know you guys can't see it, and you've seen the build. It's gorgeous. Minus like one little thing, couple things here and there. But it's a gorgeous looking cabinet. I'm happy with it. Alright, so let's call it $750 for that. Next up we have Tiger-Heli, which I got down at Coin Out Warehouse for probably like $125, and the monitor didn't work. So I took another monitor I had and put it in, and it's working. Haven't had to do anything else with it. So $125 plus whatever your cost would have been for a monitor. I didn't even bother repairing the other monitor yet. I just put it in. But it does this weird thing where it doesn't turn on the first time. I have to go and like turn it on and off with this little plug that's over there on the wall. There's a plug way down there. I unplug it and plug it back in, and it comes right to life. It never turns on the first time. No idea why. I don't really care. It's just something I have to do. It's one of those like things you live with. But it's working. Zaxxon. This is a recent pickup with, you know, last year and a half or so, and now we're at the point where games have started coming up in price, and I paid $300 for this. The only thing I've done is replace the control panel, which I did not need to do, but the reason I replaced it was because I wanted the joystick with the button that lit up when you pulled the trigger, and mine didn't do that. It was missing some parts, but somebody had a control panel for sale that I don't know. I don't remember what I paid. $40? $60? I don't know. But $300 for the game, as it stood, working. Haven't done anything to it. Pinball. High speed. I paid $960, $980 for working. It's a player's machine. It's not the most beautiful machine, but it's in decent shape. It has an adjust switch error that's popping up now that I need to take care of. But it's in good shape. I put LEDs in it. I've replaced like all but one of the rubbers that is in the back. I haven't gotten to it. I'll get to it. It's the one like underneath the ramp where you have to remove everything. I just cleaned it, and it wasn't falling apart, so I left it. So you know, with LEDs, probably just over $1,000, but I didn't, you know, 980 bucks as it stood. And that was a fair price. I had one of the cabinets I received in that big bulk buy was a Nintendo cabinet that had been repaired, and the front laminate was not right. It had Wonder Boy in it. I kept the Wonder Boy board, and then I'm sorry, I turned it into a 60 in 1 and made it look like a Donkey Kong and sold it for just about $1,000. Then I went and bought a pinball machine. Arena. $150 is what I paid for it. I know, that's a deal. I can't let it go because I paid so little for it. The only thing I've done to it is, like, I put LEDs in it, obviously, and I replaced the rubbers on it. Then eventually somebody did a new ramp on pin side, and so I got a new ramp, and that was probably like $75. So I probably into this for $200 to $250 total, tops. But the initial cost was like $150. In that same package with this, I bought a millipede cabinet that I thought was a millipede, but the pictures are so horrible, it turned out to actually be a Meridarts and have none of the things I needed in it. Alright, we've done Turbo, we've done Outrun, let's go over to Zybots. As far as what this cost, $300, haven't done anything to it, haven't touched it, just adjusted a couple things, and it plays just fine. $300. In my opinion, any game in an original cabinet is worth $300 if it's working. In fact, the reason I got Zaxxon, and I'm sorry to whoever I got this out from under, when I was negotiating with the person, I said, listen, your price is fair, don't take anything less than $300 for it, I'll take it at $300, it's worth at least $300 and it's working condition. And they said, okay. Oh, no, now I remember why. The joystick, when I bought it, was missing the trigger. That's what was missing. The fire buttons on either side worked. So I have gotten games that way by not necessarily offering more, but offering what I feel is a fair price. And $300 for any working game in an original cabinet is worth it, unless it's like Gal's Panic or something like that. I don't know. We did Marble Madness. We did Tutankhamun. Neo Geo. I think this is a $300 cabinet with a board and a monitor, but then I had to go buy another board at $150, and then I bought another monitor at $100. So really, this ended up being like $550 to get it the way I wanted to, but it did come with a Metal Slug cartridge. So really, it was a $550 Metal Slug, all said and done, which in reality, at the same time, I probably could have spent another $50 to $75 and bought one with 4 games already without having to do the work. I don't know, but I did get a chance to cap the monitor and replace the monitor and all that stuff. But c'est la vie. So let's say $550 all said and done, but started as a $300 project. The Red Tent. These are highly sought after with games. This has the multi versus light in it, where it plays multiple games. Let's see, if I hit the 1 and 2 buttons, it changes games. You got Excite Bike, Slalom, Golf, Tetris, Balloon Fight, etc., etc. So this probably started off at $400, but it had monitors in that were great, but as part of the deal, I had to give the monitors to the other person, and they gave me some monitors, same monitors working but had burn in, and they're in decent shape. The tubes burned, they got burn in on them, whatever, it's fine. But I had no boards, so I went to our trusty friend John over at John's Arcade, and we worked out a deal and got some boards, got a board set working, and then I had a friend help me burn some ROMs. I had to get some PPUs. I had to populate the thing. It was a blank board. So there was equity that went into it. Let's see, probably initial cost of $400 plus the board, so $5. Let's call it $550 to $600 to get it up and going. and then another, I think, $225 is what I paid for the Multiverses plus the swapper kit. So we're into it for almost $800, I feel like, and it's in okay shape. You know, it's not restored. I started to restore it, and the only thing I did when I did this is just kind of paint the bottom, repaint the bottom. I didn't really fix any of the dings and dents. I didn't go crazy with Bondo or anything. I left all the dings and dents. I just repainted the bottom so it was all one color. I was going to like get the bottom chrome plated, but I'm leaving it. I'm not going. I'm into patina phase now because it's a lot less work. Let's see. All right, so we've done that. Done Space Invaders. Done Donkey Kong. Silver Strike Bowling. This is another one from Coin Op Warehouse. Probably about $150 working. But as you can see, the monitor's kind of shaking. It's got the shakes. It needs a cap kit. I replaced the flyback on it. That was probably like $25. And every now and then, I get a USB I/O error, which I just haven't really felt like dealing with, to be honest. It is that. All right. Let's see. Next up, Rescue 911. Only thing I've done to it is put new rubbers on it. I fixed the helicopter. That's a little annoying, but I paid $880 for the pinball, and then probably another, I don't know, less than $100 in parts for rubbers and light LEDs and parts. So I'm still under $1,000, but initial cost was like $880, I believe, for Rescue 911 working. And then I have my Robotron build here with my lovely shirt here from Mitch over at Wilderness Games. Check out his channel there, but he knows how much I like these Robotrons. Thanks a lot, Mitch, for that shirt. Hopefully some people take a look at your channel as they suffer through this video of costs and price. But here is the Robotron Mini. This is a scratch build, and it has automotive paint and stuff on the sides. Let's see, you know, with stencils. I totaled my costs up to build this, and that is like a new old stock 13-inch monitor. I'm up at about $900, to be honest. It would be the total cost between the J-Rock board, the monitor, the artwork, you know, control panel overlays, even some of this stuff, like there were no repros of this and this at the time, so I had a friend make those. I had to get a coin door. I made reproduction lower coin doors, so that you had to buy the wood, the automotive paint, the T-molding, the hardware. So I'm probably up in the $800 to $900 range for that. So I think we've covered everything. I hope that this helps everybody as far as like what costs go. So if we look at things again, if we go around real quick, it's like, we'll start with Ms. Pac. $50, $450, $75. Initial cost $25. Building it was like $700. Probably like $125, $300, $980, $150, $100, $25 to start. But remember, we had to buy boards, so that still put us about $200. $300 for Zybots. Marble Madness was originally a Roadrunner at $25, but needed a monitor. But we converted it to Marble Madness, so the Marble Madness kit was about $700. So all said and done, with Roadrunner, gosh, we're like $800 to $900 with the Roadrunner kit. Tutankhamun started off as Capcom Avengers at $50, but probably, I don't remember what we said, I don't know, $300 to $400 all said and done. 4 or 5, I don't remember. For Tutankhamun to restore with art and all that. Neo Geo was like $550. I think this all said and done to build started at $400, but then we put it all together and got it up around $700. Again, over time. Donkey Kong Cocktail started at $50, but then we did a resto mod on it, spending probably close to $500 to $700 in that range. And then $300 over here for the Space Invaders Cocktail. the $150 range-ish for Silver Strike, the $880 or so for the Rescue 911 as it stood before any extra expenses, and then the Robotron Cabaret probably at that $800 to $900 range. I'm sure my values have changed over time, but you guys get the idea as far as how much things cost. This is all going off of memory, but I hope that helps you figure out how much it costs to put all this together. I don't want to dare tally it up, although I might. But again, I didn't start with all this. I started with a few games and then just slowly added and added and added, as many of you guys do if you have the space. Now, this is only the games here in the basement. There are more in the garage and in the shed and in my mother-in-law's grandmother's barn. Yep, that's where we're at. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And this is kind of a taboo topic to talk about when it comes to prices and how much everybody pays. But I felt like it was important to talk about because nobody talks about it. We all see what sale prices are, but nobody actually knows what anybody gets things for. You ask your friend, hey, how much did you pay? And they're like, I got a deal on it. But what was that deal? And hopefully this kind of clarifies it for you. Some were good, like pinball. This pinball price, that was a fair price at the time. Arena was a steal. A lot of these games were project prices. Some of them I paid for working, like an NBA Jam, Zaxxon, working. A deal, in my opinion, a fair price, $300, deal, working. Zybots, $300, working. Things like that. $100 for a turbo, that's a steal. A lot of, even my $25 cabinets were steals, but needed a little bit of work, which that means you can do it too if you can find. I know things are getting slim out there as far as pickings go, but there are still things out there, considering the Zybots I got in February at $300, which is like 2 or 3 months ago. So, again, like I said, any questions, please feel free to let me know, and thanks again for watching.